A man named Chris and his friends were hiking back down a small mountain when they heard something that immediately made them uneasy.
Estamos en la bajada del Pinar y...
Echoing through the woods was the sound of a child laughing. Most disturbingly, they hadn't seen anyone else on the mountain. Unable to locate the source of the laughter, the group quickly decided to leave the area. According to them, local beliefs warn against responding to unexplained voices or laughter in these remote mountains, claiming it can bring bad luck or lure people deeper into danger. Of course, there could be more ordinary explanations. Sound can travel surprisingly far in mountainous terrains, and echoes can make it extremely difficult to determine where a noise is actually coming from. A child could have been much farther away than they realized, but without ever finding the source of the laughter, they'll probably never know for sure. One day, staff at a restaurant in Rockland County suddenly heard voices coming from somewhere they couldn't immediately identify. Moments later, dozens of schoolgirls began emerging from a drainage area connected to a culvert beneath the patio. The girls had reportedly been on a school trip at Memorial Park in Yak when they entered a large underground stormwater tunnel. What was meant to be a quick look inside the tunnel turned into a long walk through a dark drainage system. They continued through the tunnel for roughly half a mile before becoming lost and frightened. People nearby eventually heard them calling out from underground, and emergency services were alerted. Fortunately, all of them made it out safely without serious injury, though some suffered minor cuts and scrapes. But officials later stressed how dangerous the situation could have become if weather conditions had changed while they were underground, as the tunnel can rapidly fill with stormwater during heavy rain. In 2015, a family from Oregon went on a simple walk through a wooded area and took several photos along the way. While reviewing the images at home, they noticed something unsettling in one of the photos. In the photo, you see their daughter. Above her, there is a strange shape that was not visible when the photo was taken. It looks tall and cloaked, with a semi-transparent appearance that makes it seem almost see-through. What makes it more disturbing is that their daughter appears to be looking directly up at it, as if she was aware of something above her at that moment. No one reported seeing anything unusual during the walk itself. A group of men were cycling through a wooded trail when during the ride, one of them suddenly got caught on a sharp stick sticking out along the path. It looked serious, but somehow the stick went through his pants without actually injuring him. The moment caused immediate shock among the group, as it could have easily resulted in a much more serious injury. A 27-year-old man named Samuel Robert Whitstead was reported missing after being last seen in Victoria in mid-February 2026. Days later, he was spotted walking toward the Bibbulmun track along Brookton Highway in Armidale, Western Australia, believed to be carrying camping equipment and planning to hike and stay along the trail. In the weeks that followed, searchers began finding signs of his passage along the route. Abandoned hiking gear, including a green tent, was discovered at Canning Hut deep along the track, located within Helena National Park, roughly a full day's hike from the main highway access points. Additional sightings of gear in the area were reported by hikers over the following weeks. Despite ongoing searches and repeated police inquiries, no confirmed trace of Samuel was found. Authorities confirmed he remains officially missing, and as of the latest reports, he has been missing for around 4 months, with his whereabouts still unknown. A Brazilian YouTuber and his friends were camping deep in the forest after spending the day hiking and filming their journey through the jungle. By nightfall, they set up their tent in a quiet clearing and prepared to rest. But just as they were about to fall asleep, they noticed something watching them from the tree line. 2 glowing eyes were fixed directly on them. Then, suddenly, the figure darted forward before quickly climbing up into a tree instead of approaching them directly. From above, it continued to stare silently at the group. Panicked, they packed up their gear and left the campsite immediately. But as they moved back toward the main road, they realized the eyes were still following them. No clear visual of the creature was ever captured beyond the eyes. Was it a harmless animal? or something more dangerous. On April 26, 2023, YouTuber Terror Al Extremo was doing a live stream when he found himself in a strange and unexplained situation. While driving through a remote, isolated road far from any populated area, he spotted an older man standing alone on the roadside.
Oye, miren, ahí está.
The man appeared disorientated and confused, struggling to understand where he was or how he got there. Despite the uncertainty, he decided to stop and offer him a ride.
Ábrale. No soy funcionario de esto. Me cayó todo malo. Me borraché, me perdí cuando me fui. Quedamos por acá. Y me hicieron de andando. ¿Dónde estamos? Ahorita.
During the journey, the man repeatedly gave unclear and changing directions, often insisting they pass through a cemetery. After an extended drive, they eventually reached what the man said was his home, where he lived alone. The situation ended safely, but it was an unsettling experience. There is no confirmed explanation for how the man ended up alone in such a remote area. A group of men were exploring an old barn deep in the woods in Tennessee at night, when one of the men noticed strange floating lights moving through the nearby trees. Almost immediately after, this happened.
Hey, check right by the, or check that side by the way. Yeah.
Look right here. Look here.
The lightning bugs out right now. Run! Where's the gate? Where's the gate?
They quickly decided to leave the area. As they rushed out through the barn gate, the recording abruptly ended. About 3 years ago, this footage was reportedly filmed by a group of villagers who had been losing livestock to an unknown animal. After multiple incidents, they decided to search the nearby jungle themselves to find out what was responsible. As they moved through dense vegetation, they suddenly came across something terrifying. Crouched low to the ground was a dark figure unlike anything they expected to find. The creature appeared to have a canine-like face, but the rest of its body looked strangely human. Its unusual proportions immediately led some people to compare it to descriptions of the so-called Dogman from local folklore. The reactions of the people filming suggested they were genuinely frightened. A video was posted on the Instagram page of a coffee shop in Bacău, Romania, called Bacău Brown Cafe. What they posted that day was completely different from their usual content. It appeared to show the owner and a group of friends near a forested area. Something was standing near what looked like a tunnel entrance. They debated whether it was a prank setup or even a mannequin placed there deliberately. As they moved closer and began honking the car horn and flashing their headlights, this happened.
What the fuck?
It moved. No one in the video could clearly explain what they had just witnessed. I guess they posted to their account to find out if others had answers. TikTok user MySteams was fishing at an unmarked lake in Ohio when he noticed movement across the far shoreline. At first, it looked like just another animal passing through dense trees, but as he raised his camera, the shape became clearer. It appeared to move upright, not like any bear. Ohio has become a repeated hotspot for similar sightings in recent years, but with the footage remaining unclear and no verification available, the true identity of the figure is still unknown. TikTok user Creepy Chronicles 59 was in the woods late at night when they suddenly heard a woman screaming and crying for help. The voice sounded distant but clearly distressed, calling out repeatedly. But I've heard this same audio in several different clips now, so I'm not sure which is the original and which is just added. Do you know where this audio originally comes from? And would you go help if you heard this? A Reddit user named Ironman1758 was walking through the woods at night when he heard noises coming from the vegetation. Then he saw this. He believed it was a hobgato, a term used online to describe a cryptid-like humanoid creature said to hide in trees and avoid human contact. He then shared that the creature spoke to him, saying he was trespassing and invading its privacy. Commenters suggested it looked like a normal person who probably just wanted to be left alone. And that might be true, but it's still strange. Why would anyone be at the top of a tree? And how do his eyes reflect? A 49-year-old hiker named Jaslinda Saludin was reported missing during an expedition in the mountainous Gunung Batu Putih area of Perak, Malaysia. She had been part of a trekking group moving through the remote jungle along the Titiwangsa mountain range. At some point during the journey, she became separated from the group and lost contact in the dense forest. A large search and rescue operation was launched across the region, involving authorities and local villagers. After about 2 weeks in the jungle without food, she was eventually found alive near a river close to a village settlement in Tapa. Reports say she survived by drinking water she found in the forest, including river water and other natural sources, while slowly making her way through extremely difficult terrain. Villagers found her in a weak and exhausted state and immediately gave her food, water, and shelter before she was handed over to medical care. She suffered minor injuries and extreme exhaustion, but survived the ordeal. Her rescue was later described as a miracle due to how long she survived in such harsh jungle conditions and how difficult the search area was. A trail camera owner reviewing footage from a remote forest cabin noticed something unexplainable moving near his property. A tall bipedal figure can be seen moving through the trees close to the cabin, but its proportions look unusual, with a long, muscular frame and a head shape that seems more canine than human. The owner later reviewed the footage more closely, trying to rule out common explanations like a bear or another animal. But the posture and movement didn't clearly match either. Some suggested it resembles descriptions of a Dogman-style cryptid. Could it be? Around 2 a.m. on a remote family ranch, a group was preparing to leave early the next morning due to extreme cold conditions. One of them stepped outside with an older cousin to start the car in the dark. In the near total darkness, the cousin accidentally switched on the camera light instead of the flash. When the light illuminated the area, a small figure suddenly appeared in the frame. They tried to speak to it and asked its name, thinking it was a boy, but it did not respond. Frightened, they ran back inside to alert the family. The next morning, workers at the ranch reportedly said that an 8-year-old boy had died in that exact area years earlier. When they later checked their camera roll, they realized they had actually captured it in a photo. Was it the spirit of that kid? A trail camera captured something unusual deep in the woods in the middle of the night. A strange creature appears crouched low to the ground. Its body shape looks almost dog-like, but not like a normal dog. The posture shows what some describe as hind legs, with its upper limbs spread wide as if stabilizing itself. Because of its shape and stance, some immediately labeled it as a dogman type sighting. Skeptics wonder if it could be a hoax. And with so little information, I wonder the same thing. YouTuber Unknown Dreamer from India went camping with a friend deep inside an isolated forest. At first, everything felt like a normal outdoor experience. But while they were cooking, both of them began hearing strange sounds coming from inside the forest.
आवाज सुनो यही है आग जला भाई आग जला.
Concerned about possible wildlife in the area, they shouted out to warn anything nearby and make their presence known. For a short while, everything went quiet. But the tension returned when they decided to step outside the tent to investigate.
ओ बेटा बॉय अन्ना कितना बड़ा है ये. ओए इधर जगह है टाइगर है टाइगर बेटा भाई साहब लिटरली के सामने लेपर्ड. ये देखिए नहीं भागेगा भाई. ये भाई ये देखो पी लिया भाई इतनी छो तो भाई क्या हल्ला करूं ओ भाई नीचे को आ रहा है. वो देखो अभी क्या बहुत बड़ा है रे भयंकर. इसकी खन की नहीं आ ही जाएगा भाई. आराम से हल्ला करूं भाई. ऐसे टॉर्च बार चमका रहे हैं. आएगा नहीं क्या वो. एक बार हेड ओ भाई क्या करो फिर. ओ भाई हल्ला करो यहाँ को आ रहा है. सुम्या वो टाइगर है. सुम्या टाइगर है. इतना बड़ा नहीं देखा आज तक मैंने. अन्नू तो प्रॉपर कैद हो रखे. अन्नू तो हल्ला करो यहाँ को आ रहा है यार. हल्ला करो.
A tiger was nearby, moving through the forest just a short distance from their camp. Fortunately, they were able to leave the area safely without any attack. I can't even imagine going camping in a place where tigers roam. TikTok user NC Squatch Watchers shared this trail camera footage. The footage was recorded at night deep within a remote wooded area. As the camera was triggered by motion, it captured a large figure moving through the darkness. Its arms appear unusually long and swing noticeably as it walks past the camera. Because of the darkness and the quality of the footage, the video never provides a clear answer as to what was captured that night. Some believe it could be evidence of Bigfoot. Others suggest it may simply be a person walking through the area. A 53-year-old woman named Melissa Casillas left her home near Taos, New Mexico on April 26, 2025. Security footage later captured her walking east along a road with a backpack. At first, nothing seemed particularly unusual, but after that sighting, Melissa was never seen again. Her vehicle remained at home. Her wallet, keys, and phones were left behind. As days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, the mystery only deepened. Melissa worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and her disappearance attracted significant attention as investigators searched for answers. Then, nearly a year later, on May 28, 2026, a hiker made a grim discovery deep inside Kit Carson National Forest. Melissa's skeletal remains were found approximately 10 miles from her home, resting against a tree. A handgun was located nearby. But instead of providing answers, the discovery raised even more questions. Investigators later revealed that Melissa's skull had been fractured. However, no bullet was found during examinations. Authorities have not publicly determined whether her death was the result of suicide, an accident, or foul play. And despite extensive investigation, no suspects have been identified. Even now, the circumstances surrounding Melissa Casillas' death remain unclear. Two teens, Zach Haugen and Jake Watson, were visiting Sunset Cliffs in California in July 2020 when they noticed two girls getting swept into the rough ocean below the rocks. The waves were strong, and the girls were struggling to stay above the water near the cliffside. Zach, who had lifeguard training, immediately jumped into the water to reach them. The current quickly pulled him toward the rocks, making the situation even more dangerous. Jack stayed above at first, then climbed down without hesitation to help. He assisted in pulling one girl to safety, while Zach held on to the other until lifeguards arrived moments later and brought both girls to shore. Both teens were later awarded the Carnegie Medal for their actions. The situation could have gone way worse for the four of them, but luck was with them that day. A man was staying with his brother Johnny at a remote cabin in northern Montana when the trip took a terrifying turn. The cabin sat deep between the mountains, surrounded by dense forest and far from other people. On the first evening, Johnny decided to go for a short walk before dark. He left without any gear and was only supposed to be gone a little while, but as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, he still hadn't returned. Growing concerned, his brother grabbed a flashlight and headed down the trail to look for him. A short distance into the woods, he finally spotted Johnny coming back, but something was clearly wrong. According to Johnny, a strange man had been watching him from the trees. He claimed the man seemed to be following him through the forest. Concerned that the stranger might follow him back to the cabin, Johnny had waited until darkness before returning. The brothers tried to brush it off and spent the rest of the evening around a campfire, but the following day, things got much worse. After a long hike, Johnny headed to the bedroom to change and take a shower while his brother waited in the living room. Several minutes passed, then he realized something strange. The shower had never started. When he walked to the bedroom and cracked open the door, he immediately knew something was wrong. Johnny was kneeling in the corner of the room, eyes wide with fear, silently shaking his head. Standing only a few feet away was the same disheveled man from the woods, and in his hands was a weapon. Without thinking, he rushed the intruder. A violent struggle broke out as the brothers fought to take control of the weapon. Somehow, they managed to overpower him. After taking the gun away, they restrained him long enough to escape the cabin and called the police. But by the time the officers arrived, the man had vanished. The ropes and scraps used to tie him up were still inside the cabin, but the intruder was gone. And that's when the story becomes even stranger. Investigators later determined that the gun belonged to a man who had been reported missing 5 years earlier from roughly 50 miles away. The description of the missing man did not match the intruder, which raised an unsettling possibility. If the stranger had somehow obtained that firearm from the missing man, then what really happened to its original owner? Thankfully, the two brothers made it out safely. But things could have ended very differently had they not acted when they did. A man went out at night to retrieve one of his trail cameras from deep in the woods, but this time, he immediately felt something was off. Strange sounds surrounded the area, with branches cracking nearby. He looked around but saw nothing. He grabbed his camera and left the woods quickly. Later that night, he reviewed the trail cam footage. That's when he found a disturbing image. A face appears extremely close to the camera lens, with features that look partly human, but not entirely. Could this be evidence of a Bigfoot-like creature, or just a staged prank designed to mislead people? Now, I would love to watch some more trail encounters.